everyone, my name's Kat, I write books and stuff. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Okay, so welcome back to another video. This week I have for you the writing process tag. So basically, if you want to know a bit more about my writing process, the steps that I take, then this is going to be a good video for you. So stick around. I forget who it was that invited me to do this tag. I will try and figure it out. And if I can find out, then I will link their channel down below. Okay then, so question one. If you see me looking down, by the way, it's because I've got my phone with questions on. Question one, what genres do you write? So at the moment, I am working on my sort of main works in progress are thrillers. So I have my current project is Echo, which is a psychological thriller, and then the kind of untitled sort of first draft that I have is more of a kind of spy thriller. I read a lot of crime and thriller because my mum reads a lot of crime and thriller, and she basically leaves her books here when she goes home and lets me read them. It's very nice. Thanks, Mum. Love you. So yeah, I think probably because I happen to be reading quite a lot of thrillers at the moment, that's what I'm tending to write. But I've also written short stories that are contemporary, and I've written science fiction before as well. I have drafted something that's YA too. So yeah, I'm not limited to one genre, but at the moment I seem to be really enjoying thrillers. Question number two, what setting gets you the most productive? So actually this setting, this is my desk back here. Basically, I just like a nice environment that makes me feel happy. Again, it's all about kind of just reminding my brain that now is time to work. Sometimes I do write while I'm sitting on the sofa. It's not a good idea, and I'm never as productive down there. But sometimes I feel bad because the dog's been on his own for a while, so I tend to write down there if I feel like that. Question number three. If you have multiple story ideas, how do you go about picking which one to start on first? Basically, when I've got kind of 2 or 3 ideas and I need kind of my next project, what I'll essentially do is I'll start sort of my outlining process for maybe 2 or 3 of those ideas, and then kind of see which one develops better and which one kind of interests me more. Question number 4, do you outline? Yes, I outline. I did once try pantsing. In fact, the novel that I'm working on at the moment, Echo, I pantsed that. I had no idea what I was going to write. I wrote 50,000 words of trash. And I'm now paying for it because it's incredibly difficult to rewrite. But I really want to write it because I really like the story. So yeah, do I outline? Yes, I do. I'm not saying that everybody has to outline or that there's anything wrong with pantsing. It's just not for me. It doesn't work for me. I need my outline. Please don't take it away from me. Question number 5. Do you start your first draft with pen and paper, typewriter or computer? I have hand drafted before. I think my first successfully completed first draft was science fiction, and it was just over 50,000 words, and I wrote every single one of them by hand. I actually much prefer paper and pen. I think it stops me from going back and editing, which was why that first successfully finished first draft was the first successfully finished first draft, because before that, writing on a computer, I just kept going back and editing it constantly and never finished it. So yeah, I mean, I would much prefer pen and paper. However, the problem then is when you come to edit, you then have to get that into a computer somehow. And I'm aware that some people consider typing it up to be that kind of redrafting stage, but I know for me that I would just end up rewriting it and I'd get all stuck in it and twist it up and it would just never come out. So I would personally have to literally type it up like a copy typist and then start editing it, which is an incredible amount of work. For me personally, I use computer just for convenience. I love the idea of using a typewriter. They are, however, not practical. They're not really transportable. So yeah, I would love to use a typewriter. I find them very enchanting things. I did used to have a typewriter when I was younger, when I was a teenager. Actually, I had an electric typewriter. I freaking loved that thing. It was the best. But computer is my preference at the moment, and that's purely a convenience thing. Question number 6. What do you do to get through writer's block? I'm gonna link my video right here. I don't believe in writer's block. I believe that we get blocked for various reasons, and that's not necessarily to do with writing. Sometimes it is, but not always. So some of the issues that I've had writing my current project, Echo, have been related to the actual writing and to do with the story structure and things like that, where I've got stuck because I don't know what's going to happen next, or I'm not happy with where things are going. That is obviously a very specific writing problem. It is not writer's block, it's a writing problem, and it's something that you can solve. Being blocked, being emotionally blocked, which I think is what most people think of as writer's block, that's an entirely different animal, and it's more likely to be part of your kind of mental state and how you feel, and you know, where you are emotionally, or you know, if you're dealing with a particular problem or stress or something like that. If it's to do with the writing, then it's the same process anyway. Basically, I will journal, I'll stream of consciousness onto a page and see what comes out, and sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's a mental thing, sometimes it's to do with the story structure, and then I know what I need to fix, and then it's about finding the right strategy to fix that problem. Question number 7. Do you format your project from the beginning or worry about that later? You're kidding me, right? I mean, I write about 1,000 words an hour, so writing a 70,000 word novel will take me 70 hours. Then obviously you have to redraft it, edit it, and so on. The actual writing process takes 70 hours, at least. I am not going to waste my time putting bold and italic text and doing lots of indenting and fiddling around with format when I might very well end up deleting that stuff anyway. As I say, the book that I'm currently working on, because I pantsed it, I wrote 50,000, upwards of 50,000 words, and I've already deleted about 30,000 of them. So why would I waste my time formatting text that I might end up deleting? Question number 8. Do you edit as you go, or when you're finished with the first draft? Never edit. Never ever edit as you're writing. You'll never complete a first draft. I fell into this trap for years. Years and years and years. I forget which year it was that I first won NaNoWriMo and finished an actual 50,000 word draft. But literally, at that point, I'd been writing since I was a teenager, and I was probably in my 20s then. Maybe 30s. I was probably in my 30s then. Ew. I could literally never get past, like, the first couple of chapters of anything, because I just spent so much time trying to perfect this kind of first couple. And the thing is, you just end up deleting half of it. Or at the very least, you know, changing it, and it's just not worth it. It's not worth the hassle. The point of the first draft is to get the thing out of your head and onto paper or computer. Question number 9. After finishing your drafts or manuscript, how long do you give it before you start going back over it, or do you give it a break at all? What I find myself doing now is I'm working on something I wrote years ago at the moment, and I finished the first draft of the other projects that I'm developing in April, I think it was. So that has been put in a drawer it's a digital drawer, it's on the computer, but that has been put away and I will forget about that. It's taken me a while to forget about it, but that's gone away and I'm ignoring it and I'm not thinking about it and I'm not taking notes on it and I'm not looking at it at all while I'm working on Echo. And what I'll do is when I've finished Echo, my plan then is to do a new draft of something completely new. I'm aiming to do that in November in Camp NaNoWriMo, not Camp NaNoWriMo, in actual NaNoWriMo. So I will write another first draft in November, and that might take me through November, December, maybe even January. I'll be aiming to finish that in the first part of next year, and then the other draft, the other project will come out of the digital drawer and I'll start editing that and improving it and what have you. I would always recommend taking some kind of a break just so that you're going back to something with fresh eyes, because I think that you're far more likely to see both the good things and the bad things. So when you've first written something, it's very easy to see all of the kind of negative things, the things you don't like about something. It's not always as easy to see actually the stuff that's really positive that you really like. So yeah, I would always say take a really good break, and I personally, you'll kind of see with the other project that by the time that I come back to editing that, it's probably going to be close to a year that will have been shelved, as it were. Question 10. Is there something that you prefer to do to get you through writing? Example, playing music, TV, having your favourite drink or food. How can anybody write with the TV on? I mean, like any kind of TV. I find it so distracting. Seriously, no. I write with a playlist, so I find some instrumental music and maybe a couple of songs that I don't know, so I won't be tempted to sing along with, and I make a playlist that is appropriate for the story that I'm writing, and that works really well for me. I also tend to light a scented candle. It's just so that that's kind of the trigger, because I don't really light scented candles anywhere else in the house. So it's kind of a case of, okay, brain, this is the time that we're going to spend. But the music I find really important. I find that helps me to both get in the mood and stay in the mood and kind of get in the zone for what I'm writing. As for the other things, obviously TV is a big no-no for me, and radio as well. I know some people who can write with a voice, you know, spoken voice in the background. I can't even have a person talk to me while I'm trying to write. It's so hideously distracting. So yeah, no TV, no radio. I tend to have a drink with me, so that will usually either be coffee or water. I try to drink anywhere from 1 litre to 2 litres of water a day. And I find that during the day when I'm working is my best time for drinking water. So that's what I tend to have with me. When it comes to snacks, I'm not a snacker when I write, actually. Some people have to have like sweets, candy, whatever. I literally, I don't need anything, and in fact I find the eating to be distracting. If I'm gonna eat, then I'll stop what I'm doing to eat. So that's not really conducive to actually getting any writing done. So I tend not to do that. Question 11. Do you schedule your writing sessions? I think I've answered this question before on this channel. I don't schedule, really. It's something I'm kind of, not only am I playing with it, trying it now, but I'm also kind of going to be trying this out. Obviously, I think I've mentioned before on several occasions that I work shifts, and working shifts is a bit kind of all over the place, and I personally don't find it that helpful to schedule a regular writing session. What I'm trying at the moment is looking at my day and saying, okay, where can I fit something in around my shifts and things like that. So that's kind of working for me, but I don't really take it that seriously. However, I am potentially about to change my job, only temporarily, but I won't be working shifts for a while. So, you know, I might see how the scheduling goes with that and see how the change of lifestyle works with my writing habits. Okay then, so question 12. Do you have word count or chapter goals for your writing sessions? That very much depends on the writing stage. So if it's first draft, it's always word count. The idea of your first draft is to get as many words on the page as possible that might be helpful to you in the end. Because there's an old adage, I forget who it is that said this, I think it's a quote somewhere, that you can't edit a blank page, which is absolutely true. You have to have something there to work on it and improve it. The point of editing is to polish, and you can't polish something that isn't there. So the point of your first draft is literally words, just words. Obviously, I think I mentioned earlier, or it might have been, it was probably in my wrap-up video, I'll link it in the cards. I mentioned that I am not working to a word count goal at the moment. I'm actually working to an hour goal. So what I'm saying to myself is work on my novel for 31 hours this month, which is an average of 1 hour per day during the month of July. And that's basically because when I'm redrafting, what I found is I can sit for an hour and work on the novel, but because I'm redrafting, I've deleted some words, then added some more words and moved some things around and saved some stuff for later. So actually I end up working for an hour and my net word count is minus 500 or plus 117. And then I'm like, well, I was aiming for 1,000 words and I've got 100. This is a bit shit. So I'm not working to a word count goal at the moment. I'm working to an hour goal. I don't think I've ever worked to a chapter goal. I know other writers who do, where they say to themselves, I am going to finish this chapter today, or I am going to edit these 3 chapters today. And I think that's to do with what works best for you. So some people obviously that will work. I don't think I've ever written to a chapter goal. Always have goals though. Goals are good. Goals tell you how you're doing and they keep you going as well. Question number 13 then. Are there any quirky things you do to make your projects more fun? Because writing is not fun enough. I don't think I have any quirks. I mean, I have lots of quirks, but I don't think I have any quirks to do with writing or making it more fun. I guess some people will do. There's like an app that you can use that's like you're planting a forest. So every time that you like close your phone and go and write, you can set this thing to, and then it'll grow a tree for you in the time that you're writing. And if you go onto your phone and use your phone in that time, then you kill your tree basically, which is a bit much. So I guess that's maybe what this is referring to. I think there's also like a gamified thing, like an app or a website or something, where you can you do word sprints and defeat monsters. I'm pretty sure Rachel Stephen has that or uses that or has mentioned that. I don't do any of that. I just really like the writing process. So question number 14. Do you work on multiple projects at one time? So I don't actively work on multiple projects. Obviously, as I said before, I have one that's kind of in the box waiting for editing. It's like a work in progress that I'm not actively working on, and then I've got my current work in progress, which obviously, I don't think I could stand trying to actually write multiple things at the same time. I find it confusing enough as it is working on one thing. I can barely remember my characters' names sometimes, or where they're from, or which character it was that said this 6 pages ago. I don't think my poor little brain could cope with writing 2 things at the same time. So maybe not. Question number 15. How often do you research what you're writing? Basically just whenever I need to. If I come across something that I need to research, and that might be how to murder somebody, then I'll go and research it. I am fortunate in that I tend not to get sucked into the internet rabbit hole. I know people, and my husband I think is probably one of these people. He would start researching something and 16 hours later would come up for air. Maybe not 16 hours, but I think some people will find it very, very easy to get distracted and disappear down some kind of rabbit hole. personally, I tend to hit a snag, hit a problem, find something I want to know, and then I'll go and get that information then. Number 16, how do you organise your projects? I use Scrivener. Scrivener is very good for keeping everything all in one place. I have tried to do paper-based Bibles, but actually I'm transitioning now into using the research area in Scrivener rather than having it as a separate document, because I never keep up with it as a separate document. And I mean, I'm not saying I'm going to keep up with it any better with Scrivener, but I'm going to try. So yeah, so I use, basically my tools are my laptop and my notebook. My laptop is Scrivener and Dropbox, obviously, so I've got a backup, but I have the actual work and all of the research there. And then the notebook is purely like tracking and sort of brainstorming and things like that work better on paper. And those are literally the only things that I'm using now. That's the only way that I organise. Question number 17, do you reward or punish yourself for achieving or missing out on your writing goals? I do reward myself. So part of my tracking is whichever I'm tracking, whether it's hours or whether it's words. I have an intended goal, so it might be, you know, a daily goal of, say, 1,000 words, or a couple of thousand words or something like that. And whenever I achieve one of those, if it's, say I'm working to 1,000 words a day, I give myself a little sticker for each one of those 1,000 words, and I keep track of it all on one page. Obviously for an hourly goal, every time I reach the next hour, so I might write 59 minutes, I don't give myself a sticker. I write another 15 minutes, then that's 1 hour and 14 minutes, so I get a sticker for that. So yeah, so I do give myself little reward stickers. They are blobs at the moment. I have used stars before. Beyond that, I don't really reward myself because I'm so terrible, because what I'll do is I'll say, I buy this thing when I do this thing. And then what happens is I don't do the thing and I go, I buy this thing anyway. So I just, yeah, rewarding doesn't really work for me. However, I don't punish myself either, and neither should you. You have to hold yourself accountable, but hold yourself accountable with kindness, because shit happens. But at the end of the day, if you can't do something because you're ill or because something's happened, don't beat yourself up. There are plenty of people in the world who want to beat you up. Wait, that sounds bad. I hope there's not plenty of people in the world who want to beat me up. Do you want to beat me up? But, you know, there are enough people in the world who will drag you down just because they can. So don't drag yourself down as well. Nobody needs that in their life. Pat yourself on the back when you do a good job. Say, that wasn't so good when you do a bad job. But at the end of the day, cut yourself a break, because who else is going to cut you a break? Question number 18. Are there any works similar to your projects that you look for and use for inspiration and or comparison? So when I'm working on a project, I will sometimes read in that genre or watch TV programs or movies in that genre. So when I was working on my spy thriller still, then I think I watched the Jack Ryan movie that had Chris Pine in it, because I actually really like that movie, even though it's not as good as like the other Jack Ryan movies. You know, yeah, I'll watch, and I deliberately read Dreamer in June to kind of get my brain in the right place. It's not necessarily for inspiration in the sense that I'm not looking to these other things to give me a direction or suggest something that I should do, or even to give me sort of structure or support in that sense. It's really about headspace, and you should never compare. Why would you compare yourself to something, and why would you compare something you've written to something somebody else has written? You're not the same person, and you know, even if a story is similar in, you know, kind of the theme or the structure or something like that, it's your story. You're the one that's written it. It's your experience and your personality that is the foundation for it. So yeah, don't compare. Question number 19. How early do you wait to start looking for hiring editors? I'll let you know when I do that. I have not engaged any editors or professional services before. You know, I haven't had reached a point where I'm ready to engage a professional editor. I'm going to see how things go with this novel. I might pay for editing services, but I'm thinking that at least the first novel, maybe the first couple of novels that I publish, I might be in a position where I have to self-edit, and then the sales from those will then grow my business, as it were, and allow me to engage an editor in the future. So I'm going to see how things go. Honestly, I could probably have done with a developmental editor for Echo, because the structure of it has taken me quite a long time to really get to grips with. But, you know, I don't really have the money to pay professional editors at the moment. But we'll see how things go. Yeah, I'll let you know. Ask me that again in like a year or a couple of years. Question 20. If you finished a first draft or manuscript, tell us how you felt afterwards. Pick your favourite. If you're not through the first draft yet, tell us how you're feeling at the moment. So I have finished 3, 4, I think, first drafts. I think I've pretty much finished a 5th as well. There was one of them where I was so close to the end, but I'd really messed up with the story structure and got a bit sort of lost and stuck at the end. So didn't actually finish it off. So I am an old hand at finishing first drafts. And how do you feel when you finish first draft? The first one that I finished, the science fiction story, I was absolutely on top of the world with that. I was also on holiday at the time, so that made it even better. That was lots of fun. But yeah, I was absolutely ecstatic because I'd never achieved that before, and for the first time I could actually look at something and say, that's a finished thing. I finished a thing. I finished a thing. And I was just so pleased, and it was a sense, it wasn't pride, it was a sense of achievement, you know, having never done that before. Since then, actually, the other drafts that I've finished have been a sense of relief. So it's not so much a sense of achievement, because this is something I've already done before. It's literally relief. It's like, oh, thank God for that. Some first drafts are easier than others, and some are more difficult. And when I finished the first draft of my spy thriller in April, I was elated. I was really pleased that I'd finished it. I was very happy with it. But there was still that sense of relief that it was done. And what I'd say like the last probably 10% of that novel, I had such a good time. I had so much fun writing it. It was just, you know, it's like chases and gunfire and car crashes, and it was just immense fun. And I really, really enjoyed the kind of back end of that. So yeah, with that one, I felt I was really pleased to have finished it, and I was really happy with what I'd produced. But I was still very relieved that I didn't have to do any more. And I think part of that is because I was itching at the time to get back to Echo. I really wanted to have finished that first draft a good 3 months before I did. So it took much longer than I intended as well. And of course, this is part of it, is that sometimes you will be sitting there and thinking, I can't wait to finish this because I've got this other thing that I want to go back to, or that I want to do work on. So yeah, finishing a first draft is incredible. It's an incredible achievement. So yeah, I am very much looking forward to finishing redrafting Echo. I feel like that's going to give me the same sort of sense of achievement, because Echo has been in the works since I think about 2015. That was when I wrote the first draft. So I can't wait to finish redrafting it, and then I've got to start editing it. And that is it. There is a question 21, which is basically tag some other people. As I said at the start of the video, I have failed to prepare, which means I failed to prepare. Prepared to fail. I am prepared to fail. I haven't prepared. I didn't actually, I completely forgot to go and find some people. I will tag some people and link them down below. Whether they do this tag or not, please go and check out their channels. We're all small creators, none of us are massive, and we really appreciate your time and your feedback and what have you. So that is all that I have for you then for this video. If you've enjoyed it, then please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Let me know if you found any of this really interesting, or if you found it really boring. If you found this video boring, then please, you can dislike it as well if you want, that's fine. Please subscribe if you've enjoyed this video. I post videos about once a week on a Wednesday. I really appreciate you spending the time watching and joining me on the channel. So yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.